So see, that's new right there, service traction control. And then your stable track. It's telling you to service your stable track. See, those are all new codes for me. I normally don't see those every day. And the truck is starting to shake a little bit. You can see my RPMs jumping. Ignore the tire sensor. I don't have my tire sensors in these new wheels I got, so my tire pressure sensor is always blinking. But the engine light is still staying normal. It's not blinking right now. But once you start driving down the road and giving it pressure, see, it starts blinking. And the whole truck starts to shake a little bit. I'm not even touching the gas pedal and the RPMs are jumping on its own. And it's just a rough ride. It's just not riding smooth. If you're anything like me, the second you see a problem, you search YouTube just to try to figure out what the problem is, rather than trying to drive around and have somebody else find the problem for you. I might not be able to fix the problem, but at least I have an idea of what's wrong with my truck. And usually finding a video of somebody actually showing you the before and after helps you say, well, that might be my actual problem. Seeing videos that they've already fixed the problem and it's just magically all better doesn't really help you compare your situation to mine. And maybe that'll help you if you're having the exact same problem as me. For one, I don't even know what the Silverado Stable Track does. I'm not going to lie and say I know what it is. I don't even know what stable track means. I'm sure somebody will comment explaining what it is. And the check engine light is blinking. That isn't normal. I mean, a lot of people have a check engine light on for their O2 sensors or just their exhaust system, that they change something from factory and it's got a check engine light on. I mean, check engine light isn't the worst thing that could happen. My check engine light's always on, but when I got in it one day, it started blinking. Usually check engine light blinking means there's something actually wrong. So then the next thing that happened was the stable track control signal went off, and why those two signals and my check engine light are blinking, I didn't know what was happening. The truck drove fine for a few minutes, and then I noticed it starting to struggle. It would jump a little bit. You get to a red light and it's wanting to jump. It wasn't smooth. It's underpowered and it's not shifting right. But I drove it to AutoZone or wherever your auto parts store is. They can scan it for you for free. They'll just check your codes. That's the best thing to do to start if you don't know what's wrong. And then after that, if you get a misfire, like if it actually gives you the number like 3001 through 8, it'll tell you which cylinder is misfiring, and then from there you just go. I think it's starting on the right. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on your left side is even and your right side is odd, and that'll tell you which cylinder is misfiring if it does that. And then it's really that simple. It's either your ignition coil or it's your spark plug. The guy at the auto parts store insisted that it was the ignition coil, and you know, that's $85, and he insists that that's it. But they don't even consider the spark plug when they're thinking that. They always just jump to ignition coil. I don't know if it's because it's more expensive, but they just think that's magically going to fix the problem. So long story short, I replaced the ignition coil. It did absolutely nothing. Drove it back, got a spark plug, replaced the spark plug on the same cylinder, and magically everything went back to normal. So it was just a spark plug that was causing all these problems, all these signals going off, and it was jumping all over the place. It was just a simple spark plug. About a month went by, and now I'm having the same problem again, but now it's a random misfire. So now I think it doesn't know, or there's multiple spark plugs failing now. But it seems like it's the same problem, so I think it's still my spark plug. So I'm going to go ahead and replace all 8 of my spark plugs. and see if that fixes the problem. Instead of doing the ignition coil, I'm just going to do spark plugs and see if that fixes the problem. Spark plugs are getting all gunked up. So basically, I had old oil in it and it was messing up all my spark plugs. I think the old oil caused all the spark plugs to start failing. So basically, if you replace one spark plug, you might as well replace all 8 of them, because if one's failing, they're all failing. It's just a matter of time before they all go, and you should just do all 8 of them at the same time. So let's go look at the codes so you can compare your truck to mine and see if yours is doing the same thing before you go spend a bunch of money. At least you know now you can spend $70 and it's just spark plugs and you can do it yourself. See, I had a misfire on the 6th cylinder, which is that one right there. As you can see, I've already replaced one ignition coil. It's hard to see, but this one right here, I already replaced that one. Brand new. That's an old one. That's a brand new one. It didn't help cylinder 6 at all. It's still misfiring. So now I'm going to replace all the spark plugs. The spark plugs are located directly underneath the ignition coil, right there. See, this thing right here is the spark plug. You just pull that cap off, and then you just pull it out with a socket. I know it's really hard to see, but basically the spark plug is right down there underneath the ignition coil. I know some people don't know what they're looking at, but this is where your spark plug is, right here. You basically just pull. My motor's still hot, so I don't want to touch anything right now, but I'm going to give it a second to cool off. But you basically take this plug off of each one of these spark plugs right here. You just take this little thing off. This is pretty loose. You just pop it off. You got 8 of them. And these are all the tools you need. Simple. See, mine's magnetic. You want to get a magnetic one so you don't drop your spark plug. So these are the new spark plugs that I'm going with. I really don't know anything about different types of spark plugs. But these are the ones I just pulled out of one side. There's really not a whole lot in them like there was before. I pulled one out, but I figured I don't want to leave this one in there. I might as well replace all 8 of them. This was a weird brand name. I don't know what that is. I'm going with all the Bosch. Took a little to get these things out of there. You gotta definitely wrestle with it a little bit. Use a smaller extension, maybe like a 4-inch or 3-inch extension. I can kind of compare. As you go down the line, the plugs get a little darker until where this one's completely black. As you can see, that one was the culprit. I mean, pretty obvious. This plug here is completely fried, and the reason I was getting a random misfire, instead of it singling out this cylinder, which it was the 7th cylinder, the one the farthest back on the driver's side, it didn't single out that one cylinder, probably because this one was starting to go bad and it was probably sending a misfire out of that cylinder as well. So the computer was thinking that there was more than one cylinder misfiring, so that's why it gave a random misfire code. But pretty sure that this is the one that caused all the problems. But now that I got brand new plugs in there, hopefully. And this is the one that I replaced about 2 weeks ago, but I figured I'd replace it again since I'm doing all the plugs this time. You know, it's only $7. You might as well be safe than sorry and have all your plugs match. Alright, just put all the plugs back in. Don't be alarmed, my check engine light's still going to be on because I removed the O2 sensors and I have no catalytic converters on this truck, so my check engine light's always on, but it shouldn't blink anymore. And that my tire monitor is always on because I don't have the sensors in the tires either. But as long as those other two codes go away, no more Stabili Trak. So hopefully that helps explain kind of how to get rid of your Stabili Trak and traction control signals. For me, it was spark plugs. Pretty simple. Well, I'm happy to get my truck running the way it should be again. Everything seems to be back to normal. About a 3-hour job. Change out all my spark plugs. It only cost me $65-70. Did it myself. Hopefully that helps you guys.